Hey guys, TJ here with the MMA Jackal. So I want to do something a little different today. I think instead of doing like a full card breakdown, what I wanted to do is go through some of the more exciting stuff that I found that happened last night at UFC 299, kind of like a highlights video. And I'll just talk about those things, We'll just pick out the most exciting parts or things that I think were of note, and we'll have a little discussion on that. But don't forget, we're here at the MMA Jackal, where we talk about all things MMA and combat sports related. At the end of this video, if you're not already subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did. Hit the like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about whatever I say here in the next few minutes, and we'll have a nice discussion about it. So let's start off with Mateusz Gamrot, RDA. So this fight went the way most people thought it was going to go. I was excited to see RDA came out in the first. He had an excellent first round. He was definitely winning the striking exchanges. But I think just Father Time has caught up to him, I mean, he's a former champion. He's literally done everything there is to do in mixed martial arts. He's had a storied career. Good on him. Second round, Gamrot just puts the pace on him, He starts with his spam wrestling, as I call it, and he just grinding, and he ended up winning a unanimous decision. He won the second and third round. I think most people give the first round to RDA. They should have anyway. He had a knockdown, so I mean, he probably should retire, but who am I to tell him, I wouldn't mind to see RDA in another fight. It's not like he's completely washed and has no business being in the octagon. There's still plenty of people that he could beat in a gatekeeper type role, But it was your stereotypical Gamrot fight where he just applied the pressure, the wrestling, and his cardio, put the pace on him, and got the job done. Good on him. Then we had Maycee Barber, Katlyn Chookagian, or whatever her new name is. It's a typical women's MMA fight. Maycee Barber won. I'll leave it there. So then we go on to Curtis Blaydes, Jailton Almeida. I really thought Jailton Almeida was going to win this fight. And at the end of the first round, I really thought Jailton Almeida was going to win this fight. However, he had a complete and utter lack of fight IQ, and it cost him. So first round, he ends up getting the takedown, and he's winning the grappling exchanges. Now, he's not a better wrestler than Curtis Blaydes, right? But he's winning the grappling exchanges. And in my personal opinion, grappling is made up of three different parts. It's getting your opponent to the mat, controlling him once you get there, and then you keeping that control to a finish. That's what makes you a complete grappler. Guys can be excellent wrestlers where they know how to get you to the mat and maybe even control you when they get down there, but they don't have the finishing skills, or some guys have great jiu-jitsu. They're really good at submissions, but they have no way to get you there, Little side note. Anyway, he shows excellent grappling in the first round. He's controlling Blaydes. He's all over him. It looks like it's just going to be more of the same in the second and third, and eventually he's going to find the rear naked choke or some submission and finish him. Well, that's not how it went at all, because the second round starts and Jailton Almeida decides to shoot a double leg takedown from half a football field away against the superior wrestler who just sprawled on him. Jailton Almeida tries to walk him to the cage, and Curtis Blaydes just hammer fist and elbows him in the side of the head. He doesn't know what to do. I think it stunned Jailton Almeida at first, and then he was kind of stuck there. He had Curtis Blaydes' torso stopping him from picking his head up. He had an overhook stopping him from on one side, and the other side was Curtis Blaydes' hip. So he's just kind of in front of Curtis Blaydes on his knee, and Curtis is just giving him the business, and the fight's over. It was really a complete lack of fight IQ. I mean, Jailton Almeida just wanted to get the takedown so bad that he disregarded, best practices in wrestling and grappling and decided to shoot on a superior wrestler from the other side of the octagon. Why? Why? I understand he might think Curtis Blaydes is a superior striker as well and he doesn't want to exchange with him. That's debatable. I was happy with the little bit of striking that Jailton Almeida did yesterday. I thought he was doing fine standing with him. So exchange with Curtis a little bit, get him in a position, back him up against the cage, use those front kicks he always uses against everybody else, and, get to a clinch and then work your takedowns from there. He was just, I don't know if he was overconfident or, too ambitious, too excited to just hurry up and get the takedown. But either way, it cost him. Curtis Blaydes TKO victory. And moving on from there. After the fight, he called out Tom Aspinall. I mean, John Jones isn't going to fight anybody else except Stipe. So, whatever. That's cool with me. Let's have Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blaydes. Let's see, what do I want to talk about from there? Peter Yan gets it done. He gets the win against Song Yadong. So, first round, it was close. I mean, the whole fight was close, but I think I'm in the majority giving the first round to Song Yadong. But Peter Yan mixed in the grappling with his striking in the second and third round, and he just got it done. He just did a little more. There was no spectacular moment that I saw that, he landed a big shot and that turned the tide. Nothing like that. Just Peter Yan dug down deep and got it done. And I'm happy for him because if he would have lost that fight, he would have lost 5 of his last 6. That's just not a good place to be. He probably would have been maybe even out of the top 10. So now he's coming off a win against Song Yadong. He has a win against Corey Sandhagen just a few fights ago in a totally different place. Like, this is one of those fights where it was like make or break. The difference in his stock between winning and losing that fight last night was huge. So I'm happy for him. Song Yadong's a great young up-and-coming fighter. His stock really doesn't drop that much. He had he put on a great performance. It's not a win for Song Yadong, but it's a win-win kind. I'm glad it worked out like this, and Song Yadong didn't go out there and starch Peter Yan, and everyone's talking about shipping him off to the PAL or the PFL. So good for Peter Yan. I was happy to see that win. Next, we got Jack Della against Gilbert Burns. As with most people, for whatever reason, I was really rooting for Gilbert Burns over Jack Della in this fight, just as a personal which guy I like better, although I did have some bets on Jack Della, so I wasn't too upset when he won. But again, another fight that kind of worked out the way everyone thought it would. Jack Della is the superior striker, Gilbert Burns is the superior grappler. Who's going to be able to implement their game? And it looked like Gilbert Burns was winning that battle right up until the point he got knocked the fuck out with about a minute 30 left in the third in the whole entire fight. Jack Della actually did like a Granby roll. Typically, a Granby roll is when your opponent has like a body lock from the rear. You will actually jump and roll across your shoulders. And if your opponent doesn't follow you and roll with you, you'll break the grip, get free, and because of the way you roll, you're not rolling over your head. You're rolling across your shoulders, which kind of causes you to turn 180 and face your opponent. So it's a great way to go from being stuck in a body lock to being free and in front of your opponent. And he did like a Granby roll from the ground. They weren't standing, but Gilbert Burns he was off to the side behind him a little bit, and he had a hold of Jack Della's body, and Jack Della just rolled across both of his shoulders. It's hard to explain it without being able to show you exactly what a Granby roll is, but it caused them to to get free. Now both fighters are standing up looking at each other. Gilbert Burns was kind of like, oh shit, I need to do something about this. And he shot in for a takedown, and Jack Della timed the perfect knee. Boom, hit him right in the face, followed it up with a couple more shots on the feet. And then the ref just like, I mean, Gilbert Burns took, I didn't count him, but way more shots than he should have. You know, there was no need for that. The fight was over. He covered up multiple times. He was literally in the fetal position with his face covered up like this, with Jack Della just pounding on him, getting the finish. But great come from behind win. It was close. I know a few people gave the first round to Jack and had it 1-1 going into the third. I didn't. I had it 2-0 Gilbert Burns. It kind of sounded like Jack Della Molina's corner also had it 2-0 going into the third because they told him he needed a finish, which he went out and got. So good on him. I'd be, I don't know. I think there's a card coming up in August in Australia. So I'd like to see him on there. What's next for Gilbert Burns? I don't know. He's another fighter where it seemed like one of the themes of the night was like the old, you know, the old guard versus the young guys, you know, and that Gilbert Burns is not that he's old or washed. Again, like there's still plenty of guys in the UFC that he can beat. I don't see him ever holding a title ever again, you know, so where he goes from here, we will see. Next, we got Michael Venom Page versus Kevin Holland. This was a striking battle because Michael Venom Page wanted it to be. It seemed like, unlike the fight that Kevin Holland had with Wonder Boy, there was no agreement to keep this on the feet, and Kevin Holland wanted quite badly to get it to the mat, but couldn't. Michael Venom Page just implemented his crazy karate blitzing in style where, you know, he was all the way out, passed all the way out. In striking, you either want to be all the way out where you can't get hit, or all the way in where you can hit your opponent and then get all the way back out again. He was passed all the way out. Like there's probably 3 guys on the whole planet who could punch someone as fast as Michael Venom Page does from as far away as he does. He is literally leaping in, like charging in from multiple feet away to land strikes, and then whoop, he's off to the side. He is totally unconventional striking style for MMA. It's like 100% point karate based, completely bladed. Granted, Kevin Holland is not a high-level grappler. You know, it's not, if Venom Page was in there with Gilbert Burns, it might have been a totally different story. But anytime Kevin Holland did get his hands on Venom Page, he could not get him to the mat. He had good enough takedown defense to stop a guy like Kevin Holland, but he just totally pieced him up. He was playing that game hit and not get hit. He did it way better than Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland showed some, I mean, the dude is durable. So Michael Venom Page was throwing this strike where he wasn't doing a 360 and throwing a spinning back elbow. He was coming up, he was spinning around, but then he was coming up over the top with the elbow like this, and he hit Kevin Holland a few times with it. One time he hit him square in the face with this elbow, and there's not many human beings on the planet that could take that strike and not get knocked out. So good on Kevin Holland for his durability, but he really got outclassed in this fight, and, you know, not too much to say about that. It sucks for him because it was kind of like, you know, I don't want to say, well, it was. Kevin Holland is, while he's very proud of his Travis Lutter black belt, he's a striker, and that's how he prides himself, and he got outstruck handedly. So moving on from there, we have the co-main event of the evening. This is a fight I didn't know how to feel about it, especially with, I've been saying I've been saying it over and over and over that 2024 is like the year of the changing of the guard in the UFC. You know, it's like the young eating the old, and I didn't want that to happen to Dustin Poirier. It's inevitable. I understand it. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It happens to everyone. There's no way to stop it. But I didn't want last night to be the night that it happened to Dustin Poirier. And especially, not that, you know, I don't think Benoit Saint Denis is undeserving or anything like that. I mean, he's a great fighter, but he's only been doing mixed martial arts for 5 years. And Dustin Poirier is a legend of the game. You know, it's a travesty that he's never held an undisputed title, because he is just, he's everything you want your MMA fighter to be. But, so the first round starts, and BSD is winning the grappling exchanges. You know, he's coming at Dustin Poirier with everything he has, and he's pushing him up against the cage. He's taking him down. He was on his back when, at the end of the first round, Dustin Poirier is literally fighting off a rear naked choke, and I'm like, oh man, this doesn't look good. But, like I was saying, even before the fight even started, just watching it, Benoit Saint Denis is a very raw fighter, and his striking defense is not that good. I mean, he will be throwing a left hook with his right hand completely on, you know, completely next to his side. And he's no Michael Venom Page, okay? Like, there's some guys who can do that. There's some guys that can strike with their hands down low. Benoit Saint Denis is not one of those guys just yet, you know? He's not doing it because he's slick and he wants to mask where his strikes are coming from. He's doing it because he's being sloppy about it. And Dustin Poirier took complete advantage of that. He is the superior striker. He has grit like nobody else. I mean, I'm not going to say he's tougher than Benoit Saint Denis, because I think they're kind of equal on that level. But Dustin Poirier is not Matt Frevola. Like, and unless you are elite, unless you are 100% deserving to be at that level, you're not going to beat Dustin Poirier. He only loses the champions. You know? So, the second round starts, and Dustin Poirier is jumping guillotines like nobody's business, which he jumped a guillotine on Khabib. And he has a great guillotine, but you always hear guys like MMA Guru like, it doesn't work at high-level MMA, and it's true. It doesn't work that often. The reason that guillotines aren't a great submission for MMA is that, especially a standing or a guillotine from your guard, is that it's almost 100% you squeezing with your arms. Okay? Now, you hear everyone say he's got a great squeeze, like if they're talking about a rear naked choke or an arm triangle or whatever submission it is. There's squeezing involved with all of them. But a rear naked choke, for example, when you get it fully locked in, you're not just squeezing with your arms, you're pulling with your back muscles. A conventional triangle, you're using your legs. A mounted guillotine, you're using gravity and your weight. You're kind of just putting your arm around the guy's neck and using your body weight to finish the choke. Same with an arm triangle. You only have this arm is being pulled across the carotid artery on that side. The other side, you have your head, your shoulder, and your torso is using your body weight to compress and finish the choke. Whereas a guillotine, without getting too technical, I mean, you do want to, it looks like guys get the head stuck in here, they get them in their guard, and they're pulling them apart. That's actually not what's happening in a good guillotine. In a good guillotine, you're contracting your body, and you're squeezing with your arms. So, because it's an all-arm submission, basically, your arms fill up with blood and lactic acid a lot faster than they would in other submissions, and you get burnt out really quick. Also, you know, the head slips out. It's just, but Dustin must have like a ton of success with it or something in the gym, stopping takedowns, because it is a way to stop a takedown. And That's exactly what he did to win the fight. So now, I'm not against using the guillotine to stop the takedown. You threaten it, and now the guy's like, okay, I'm going to chill. I'm not just going to run into this dude's guard and get choked out. I'm going to calm down with this double leg or whatever takedown attempt I'm trying to do, and we'll figure out from there. And that's exactly what happened. Dustin, in the second round, he rocks Benoit Saint Denis. They get into a little exchange. It looks like BSD wants to shoot in for a takedown. Dustin grabs his head, gets him in a guillotine, but then lets it go. And BSD's actually had his guard up for once, and Dustin Poirier goes right around it, lands a big shot, drops him, and then comes down with the hand of fury. Just one shot to finish it off when he's on the ground. Boom, and fight is over. Good on him. I did not want him to get beat by a guy who only has, 5 years MMA experience and it to be over. Do I think Dustin Poirier is going to get a title at this point? I don't see him beating a guy like Islam or whoever the guy is that beats Islam, But another fight with Justin Gaethje. I mean, they're 1-1. Both have finishes, something like that. I mean, he can still go out on top. I would love to see that. I'd love to see him get one more big fight, one more huge payday, and goes out on his terms, leaves his gloves in the octagon. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no questions asked, fan favorite. Everybody loves the guy. So, he does a ton for charity and just a great person. So, I was very happy to see the win. And then, Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera. Well, it was just a masterclass. That's the only way to put it. Sean O'Malley just put it on Marlon Vera in every way. This was a kickboxing match. A kickboxing match with 4-ounce gloves, and Sean O'Malley is just in a whole nother league. Both fighters are predominantly striking based. Sean O'Malley touts that he has a decent jiu-jitsu game, and I'm sure he does. They're mixed martial artists, so they know what they're doing on the ground to some capacity, but there was no grappling involved in this fight last night. It was 100% a striking match, and Sean O'Malley is just a superior striker in every way. His speed, his accuracy, his timing, his footwork, his power, he was just superior. A lot of people don't like him because he's flashy and kind of cringe and whatever, but say whatever you want about the guy. He's arguably and probably the best striker in MMA right now. That's very subjective. I understand. You got Alex Pereira with this absolutely insane kickboxing record, and Izzy, and then a guy like Venom Page who's a karate guy. So it's so hard to, equate what is what with calling someone the greatest. But he's certainly the most fun to watch, and it's flashy without being reckless. It's accurate. It's beautiful is what it is. It is. The sport is called mixed martial arts. And when you watch Sean O'Malley put on a striking performance like he did last night, that's the art of it. Like, that's him putting his own personal flair on this combat sport modality that he is the best at, and just, it's like beautiful violence without any other way to describe it. It was just a master class. He hit Marlon Vera with the step-in knee in round 2, I believe it was, and it literally sounded like he cracked him with a baseball bat in the face. Literally. And Marlon Vera just took it like nobody's business. He got beat, but the guy is durable as all hell. If Sean O'Malley isn't putting him down with the damage that he gave to him yesterday, there's not too much that's going to put Marlon Vera down. So But he won 50-45 on all judges' scorecards, except I believe one judge gave him a 10-8 round, probably in the second, because like I said, he rocked him with this knee, and then you can see O'Malley followed it up right after that, and he's trying to put it on him, but he's such a smart striker. Like, his fight IQ is so high. He knew, all right, this guy's hurt, but he's not hurt that bad. He knew just the perfect amount of extra pressure to put on him without, putting himself in danger for a counter strike or overdoing it or getting taken down. So after he lands that knee, he follows it up with some strikes. He picks up the pace, but he didn't have what it, he couldn't put him away, but he didn't have to. I mean, he just styled on him for 5 rounds. He was just superior in every way. So now that doesn't mean that Marlon Vera's win in the first fight was a fluke. I heard somebody say that, oh, well, if it wasn't a fluke, well, why didn't he just kick him in the peroneal nerve again? Well, that's not how it works. Two fighters can fight, and in the first match, fighter A knocks out fighter B with a head kick. Just because fighter A doesn't knock out fighter B with a head kick in the second fight doesn't mean that the first knockout was a fluke. It's not how it worked out, Like, I still give Marlon Vera 100% credit, win on that first fight, but no, we're not talking about a rematch or anything like that. I mean, he was just completely destroyed. Sean O'Malley is the superior striker and mixed martial artist for that matter. So I don't want to see Sean O'Malley versus Topuria. That's just a bad idea all around. Sean O'Malley is not saying that because he's like, oh, I'm going to go up there and beat another guy and be the double champ because I'm the best. He wants that because it's going to be a huge payday. It's a win-win for him because if he does lose, he can just come back to 35 and still be the champ. And, well, I fought the bigger guy, got a built-in excuse. No. This is his first title defense. Like, you have no business going up into another weight class after one title defense. Let's beat 4 or 5 contenders, and then we'll talk about it. Clear out the division, and then we'll talk about it. You got Ilia Topuria has plenty of work to do where he's at, and Sean O'Malley has plenty of work to do where he's at. But let's see how you do against Corey Sandhagen and Merab Dvalishvili and all these. Like, you got a whole division full of killers you got to deal with. So don't even worry about Ilia Topuria just yet. That's how I feel anyway, and I hope the UFC brass feels the same way. So, well, that was my recap of 299. It's a little longer than I thought it would be, but it was a lot of great stuff to talk about, even just talking about a little portion of the main card. It was, in my opinion, I heard some people saying that, the card didn't deliver to their expectations. Well, I think it's because their expectations were, I don't know what their expectations were, because I thought the card delivered 100%. It was everything I wanted it to be. I hope 300 is as good as this. So, all right, guys, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll keep the discussion going. And don't forget, go Bills.